I can be there and be that support via Google Classroom. So the kind of smaller one in the side is just showing one of my second grade teachers. That exact example, she kind of came to me and said, hey, I'd love to do something for Constitution Day. What do you got in mind? I said, all right, we'll put together a whole activity, I'll be there. And I was able on my flex day to block out that time to be able to go into her classroom and to be able to support. Not only for students getting on Google Classroom for the first time, but actually utilizing the activity that we put together for them. Lots of different examples have already been given of those things that I do for students. I see them in my library, the 4th and 5th graders, for a half an hour for actual library time. And during that half an hour, time is very precious. We're utilizing that. We're jam-packing as much as we can. But the nice thing is I can go out to their classrooms too and also support those kinds of activities. And so there's been several mentioned already, but a couple other things. Obviously I've mentioned that we are not entirely one-to-one at our school district, but as we are getting more and more technology, we want to make sure that our teachers are incorporating technology and that it's no longer a big event. It's how we do business. It's what we do. It's just a normal part of your day, as normal as, picking up a pencil, but obviously maybe transforming the learning just that little bit more. And so as we are getting more and more devices at Titan Hill, in addition to the Chromebooks, we actually also have a cart of Nexus 7 tablets. And so as we were rolling those out last year, trying to support our staff, because if they have the technology but don't know how to use it, it's useless. And so a couple different things that we did for them and put together for them. The staff resources page, I'm going to kind of switch here. On my Titan Hill Library webpage, I've got a staff resources page for my teachers, where I house kind of all sorts of different ideas. Not only do we send it out via email, but it's also housed here all the time for them to have access to. The top part here, we started an idea last year that was called Techie Tuesdays. And so before school and after school, we offered about a half an hour session where, based upon teacher feedback, we highlighted and featured some different apps that we get after some of the things that they were curious about or wanted support on. So each individual s'more, by the way, is one of my favorite resources ever. But it's basically a virtual poster. But with each one of these, as they were sent out, they were also then supported here and collected here for our staff to be able to work through. So for example, our staff was really interested in formative assessments and how to utilize technology to capture formative assessments. And so we highlighted and featured two different ones, Kahoot and quizzes. And so during those Techie Tuesdays, had the staff, we kind of flipped that opportunity for them. We would send out the s'more beforehand, let them play and tinker and things like that, and then they could come to the Techie Tuesday session and they could ask questions, they could get additional support and things like that. And then what was really beautiful about that is that if somebody had a meeting before school that Tuesday that they were really interested, they still had the s'more. And those s'mores had things like tutorial videos, ideas, that kind of stuff to support their learning. If they weren't available to come in for that, there's evidence to show that the staff is still looking through these and still interested in looking on and investigating. And then of course they could always come in and ask questions. So that's kind of one of the resources that we've put together for them. Down here, ThingLink. We put together a ThingLink for our staff with the various apps and websites that we were really truly focusing. There's this sheer plethora of information, talking about accessing and navigating all of the different things that are available to you, trying to focus in just a little bit. So these were some of the things that we were specifically promoting. And so with ThingLink, one of the things I love about it is that it's that interactive. So if you hover over the different bubbles, the green was talking about what the app was all about, why we were promoting it, the potential uses. The black was telling our staff not only what it was called, but also which device it was going to be promoted on, whether it was tablet or Chromebook. The blue, if the staff hovered over it, was the link to the website or to the supports, the tutorial videos provided by that particular company. And then the red was the link directly to like a tutorial video.
Yeah. What program was this?
ThingLink, which ThingLink is fabulous. It's free. You take an image and you upload your image, and then you can create those interactive touch points to it. And those touch points can be anything. It could be text, it could be links, it could be videos, it could be pictures. It's interactive. And the beautiful thing about this, once again, is that it was housed here. It was also emailed out to our staff, where they could constantly go back and reference and utilize all of that information to help support their learning and their implementation of it in the classroom. So the Techie Tuesdays, we did find that, you know, attendance was a little bit spotty, it was a little bit rough. But like I said, with the s'more, the beautiful thing is on the s'more pages, it can track how many views you've got. And so the evidence was there that our staff was looking at them and was utilizing. So even if they weren't coming, they were exploring and having that opportunity. And we're going to kind of explore a couple different opportunities, just because, you know, obviously before and after school isn't the best for everybody. So we're going to kind of be launching some lunch and learns to give the staff every possible opportunity that they could possibly have to learn a little bit more about the different technologies that their students are utilizing, and they can be utilizing with their students as well. So, I'm going to flip them back here. Another thing, here I can go back to this. Another thing that I did for my staff, you know, talking about that collaboration, when I came into Titan Hill, they were kind of ready for that idea of that collaboration, that the teacher librarian, our scope is well beyond the library itself. And the thing I kept hearing over and over and over from my staff is, I would love to do something with you. I just don't know what. Over and over and over again. Like, I would love to do something. I just don't know what to ask for. I would love your help, but right now I'm just going, I don't know what to do. So obviously a huge portion of that was educating myself on what is the curriculum, you know, what are you teaching, what are the lessons that you need support on. But then I put this out to my staff. This is my Titan Hill Library Services menu. And so kind of going along with that idea of the menu, promoting the different things like, what can I do for you? And so the appetizers are those 15 to 20 minute activities, different things that I can provide for their students, whether it was just coming in and doing a read aloud with their students. Maybe it was coming in and doing a book sampling. Maybe, like I said, those third graders, they were studying mysteries. And so pulling a different collection of, here's all the different mystery books that we have at Titan Hill, which obviously I'm not going to pull all of them. Here's a sampling of the things that we have, and allowing kids to be able to do that. Doing focused book talks for our staff. Doing extra checkouts if you've got kids that are going, I just need to come back to the library. Doing personal one-on-one book list building with students. If you've got a struggling reader, I've had teachers send down a kid, and we sat and we go through all the different things at the library, and we generate a list of books that they would be interested in reading. So those kind of opportunities for our students. The entrees, the you know, meat and potatoes kind of stuff, the stuff that's going to take a little bit more time. And obviously, these mini lessons are just a sampling of the things that I offer for my students and for my staff. And sometimes I try to make sure that it's not just an opportunity given to an individual classroom. If I offer it for one, I offer it for all. And I've gotten to the point where, luckily, my staff has embraced and welcomed me in, but there are those couple reluctant ones, and I'll just sidle up and say, hey, you know, I was doing this great thing with these other 5th grade classrooms. I would love to do this with your students. Would you mind? and I have yet to be told no. But, you know, I mean, just kind of sidling and like, let me help you. But once again, helping them understand what I can provide and what I can support for them. And then, you know, those kind of little desserts and a la carte kind of things, the things that I can do, that's the behind the scenes things, putting together activities in Google Classroom, putting together whole lessons for them and things like that. So that was just an opportunity to kind of share with my staff, okay, what can I do for you? So, and by all means, feel free to take and draft and make that your own, because, you know, I think we're all kind of in that same situation where we're trying to kind of support our staff as best as we can. Before I move on to kind of how we can support ourselves versus, or with the technology, any questions on the staff side of things? And then obviously as teacher librarians, you know, I mean, we're all about access to information and what it can do to help us. How many of you are the only teacher librarian in your building? In your district? Certified. Sometimes that can be very isolating. And it can feel very much like you belong to everybody and you don't quite belong. You don't quite fit in. And that's the beauty. Technology has been, when we talk about that SAMR model, when you talk about that redefinition aspect of things, technology has been that for me. That idea of connectivity, the collaboration, the support, and that opportunity to really truly be the heart of your school. For me, technology, especially Twitter, has been that support system and that life changer for me. When you talk about connectivity and talking about connecting with others, like I said, Twitter, for me personally, that has been the biggest life changer, the biggest outreach, the biggest support system. Your PLN is fantastic. That personal learning network that you create is huge. And the opportunities that gives. I happened to last year tweet out, and I tweeted a lot about, because I feel promotion of what we do as teacher librarians is super important. We need to be telling our story constantly. So I constantly am tweeting out the stuff that we're doing at the Titan Hill Library. And I happened to tweet out that my second and third graders last year voted on a book called The Gingerbread Goes to School, written by Laura Murray. And of course, I tagged her in my post. You know, I found out what her Twitter handle was. And she saw it and messaged me back and said, oh, thanks so much to all your students. Thank you for voting. And I said, oh, would you want to tell my students thank you? So she was like, I've never done anything like this before. So I was like, hey, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. And so this is what she sent my Titan Hill students. I'm sure it's I will pull it up for you in just a second, because it was pretty cool how the students had this personal direct message from Laura Murray, and so I'll pull that up in just a second. Another opportunity that kind of came up via Twitter. Oh.
Especially just in the chat.
All right, I'll get it. With the connectivity, another opportunity that recently came up with Dot Day on September 15th. I don't know how many of you guys celebrated Dot Day in your libraries, but was tweeting to Peter H. Reynolds about some of the stuff, and he was favoriting some things, and so I sent him a direct message about some of the things that we were doing and introduced myself and just said, hey, do you want to connect with my students? And so we are in the process of connecting, and I've been sharing some of the activities that our students created with him to be able to kind of share with them what we were doing to celebrate and to thank him for the things that he had done. And so those opportunities for me would not have come about without that technology, without that connection, without the power of Twitter. Kind of another thing of connecting with other teacher librarians. You know, I mean, there's some great blogs out there that allow us to share our voices, and you know, our Iowa Association of School Librarians blog. But you know, an opportunity for us to share our voices and to learn and grow with and from each other is huge. I actually also, Jen's pushing me to share this one. I actually also, with a Nebraska librarian, host a Twitter chat called Midwest Librarians Chat, MWLIB chat, on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And that opportunity to then come together as teacher librarians from the Midwest, where we're kind of experiencing the same things, very similar populations, and sharing our experiences with each other. Those opportunities to lend your voice, to share your story, and to connect with other teacher librarians is absolutely phenomenal. It's huge. Yes, ma'am?
Hey, and you know, if you want to share on the IASL blog, Chelsea Sims from Iowa City is the one who's in charge of it. We would welcome hearing other voices on there. But yeah, they do a really nice job of keeping it fresh. So we'd love to hear from you.
You know, and that celebrating and sharing our stories, you know, I have a Titan Hill Library website where I'm constantly sharing that. I told you I constantly am on Twitter sharing what we're doing at the Titan Hill Library, sharing, you know, professionally. Instagram, you know, we have an Instagram account for our Titan Hill Library where eventually I would like to turn it over. It's something new I'm trying this year. Eventually would like to turn it over to my students and be able to have those conversations with them about, you know, digital citizenship and what to post and how to post and the types of pictures that are acceptable to take in that safe environment before they're getting out there and making choices on their own that maybe they would later on wish that they hadn't. But you know, I mean, really, truly the thing that technology and all of this, as a teacher librarian, technology has really, truly allowed me to be the heart of my school. And I really, truly, firmly believe that that's what the library should be. The library should be the life source of your school. It should be the heart of your school. And technology has allowed me to really, truly make my space that, to extend the opportunities for our students and for our staff and for myself well beyond the four walls of that library. So with that, you know, as we kind of look at time wrapping up, you know, I hope that you walked away today with some ideas. Maybe there were some things that you were already doing. Maybe there were things that you hadn't thought of before. I mean, that's the beauty of attending sessions like this, is that we can learn and grow with and from each other. And so I would love to hear from you about ideas. Please do contact me, share with me. You know, I would love to. Quite a few of you, I know I've been in contact with and had conversations with. So please, you know, we're better together, sharing ideas together. But questions?
Hi, Minister. You want to fix your flexible schedule?
50-50. So half the time we're on a 6-day special cycle. So half of my time I am in the library, directly teaching classes or doing checkouts. The other half I'm out in the classrooms.
How many sections? Do you have a para?
I do not have a para.
How many sections?
My 5th grade, I have 9 sections. My 4th grade, I have 10. And like I said, I have the support, a retired teacher who has come back, and she actually teaches the 2nd and 3rd grade library classes, and they also have 10 and 9.
So how long was your class?
This year it's 30 minutes. So, like for example, today I am missing my 4th graders today. My entire, this is day 4 of the cycle, My entire day 4 is half an hour of library classes all day long, with 1 break for lunch. We are trying something new in order to protect that flex schedule. We are trying this year, we do all checkouts. We've uncoupled library instruction and checkout, and I do checkout on day 3. I see all 37 classrooms on a day 3. They have 15-minute checkouts. We are running 2 classrooms at a time through the library. My colleague is in there with me, as well as the classroom teachers stay. So there's 4 adults in the room trying to help kids find books. We talk a lot about coming in with your ideas, and so we do a lot about prep work of showing how to use Destiny, searching those resources, coming in with ideas beforehand, because there's not time to mess around. So it's very good. Thank you guys all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And well, good morning. Good morning. Thanks so much for coming and joining me on this lovely Monday morning, bright and early at 8 o'clock. So, before we get started, a couple of things to let you know. First of all, the resources that I have for you, including this presentation, are available on the iTech website, but that QR code is also a link to a SMORE page that's going to have lots of resources beyond what I'm going to share right at this moment. As well as some of the things I'm going to mention in this particular presentation, I'm going to kind of touch on lightly because I have a couple other presentations. One of which is on Google Classroom, and I could probably pontificate for quite a while, my deep love of Google Classroom. So there's going to be a couple things that are mentioned that there will be maybe a little bit more information shared in other sessions. And so as we kind of get started, the other thing, kind of making this a little bit more of a question-answer kind of thing as we go. So if there's questions that you have, feel free to ask. We don't have to wait to the end. If there's something burning that you're like, oh, I need to know this right now, by all means, let me know. So with that, so today talking about technology and the modern librarian and what that exactly means for us as professionals. Now, out of curiosity, how many of you in here are teacher librarians? Okay, kind of trying to know my audience. For the rest of you, are you pre-service librarians? Okay, people here just trying to get ideas to go back and share with their librarians in their schools. So just kind of trying to know exactly who we're talking to. So, talking about the role of the teacher librarian in schools, obviously it is ever evolving and ever changing, and especially right now it's kind of an exciting time redefining exactly what it is that we as teacher librarians do. Technology has always been a part of what teacher librarians do, but there's kind of a little bit of a shift in what that role with technology means. A lot of librarians are going by the name of media specialists, and that maybe previously had been a way of incorporating technology, but the technology responsibilities of the librarian then maybe were a little bit more on the maintenance and care of technology. And so there's been a shift in not necessarily that being the focus of technology, but more that what can technology do for our students, what can technology do for our staff, and what can technology do for us as professionals. And so it's more of that integration of technology rather than the management of technology. So, obviously libraries have always been about access to information, but as technologies have evolved, that access and what information we have access to and how we can utilize that technology to support our learning has definitely evolved and changed. And so no longer do we as librarians have to be the gatekeepers of the information. We are the managers of the library and the room in the school that houses the most books. But that's no longer necessarily what it has to be. We can hand over the keys to our students because we don't have to be the ones holding the access to the information. It's now a little bit more about where can we find all of those different literacies, all the information, and what can we do with that information that we're finding. And so we as librarians, our role has shifted to also not only being about that print literacy, but now about information literacy, which includes the print, but also that digital, and especially how to navigate that sheer volume of information that our students have access to, how to become those critical consumers, but not just consumers, those ethical users of that information as well. And so that's kind of my intent of this particular presentation, to talk a little bit about how technology has allowed me to support my students, to support my staff, and to support myself as well. So, kind of getting started with the students. Before we kind of get all the way into that, talking about how many of you have seen the Sammer model stuff. This one is probably my current favorite, maybe because of my deep love and obsession with coffee. I saw this one. This is via Tim Holt, and I definitely loved this one because it was speaking my language. But for me as a librarian, especially, that technology has gotten towards that modification, redefinition side of things that has helped me evolve and support my students and staff. So technology for our students, well, what can I do for them? Well, obviously as teacher librarians, a huge part of our role is literacy and promoting literacy, promoting opportunities to celebrate a literate life. And so that's a huge thing that technology has allowed me to do for my students. Increasing our students' experiences. My particular school, I'm a teacher librarian at a 2nd through 5th grade building in Lewis Central School District. I serve the needs of roughly right now 900-ish students. I have 37 regular classrooms, and our student population is varied. A lot of our students, though, are from lower socioeconomic status that maybe don't have experiences beyond our little corner of the world in Council Bluffs. And so one of the things that technology has allowed us to do is to increase their exposure to the world, increase their experiences via things like virtual field trips and mystery Skypes and things like that. Increasing communication for our students, not only with their teachers, but also with each other and with other students across the nation. Accessing information, that no longer does that learning have to stop at the classroom door, that it can continue well beyond the school day, and they can have access to information at home 24/7. And then that application and that transfer of the things that they're learning in their classrooms. And that's something that technology has really, really supported for us. So some examples of what that looks like. So here's an example of promoting literacy opportunities. In fact, just last Thursday, we are launching something called our Library Lunch Book Clubs. And so we have, like I said, we have about 900 different students. So we have 8 different lunch periods, and so we're splitting it 4 and 4. And we are providing an opportunity for our 2nd through 5th graders to come bring their lunch to the library. And for the 2nd and 3rd graders, we are going to be reading the Goldfinch books to them. And they're going to have discussions and voting and things like that. For the 4th and 5th graders, it's going to be a little bit more of a book club format, where they come in and they have a topic and they discuss and they find out what the topic is that previous session. So with that, how do you share that information with our, did you have a question?
Do you have a flex schedule, or you must have a flex schedule?
I'm 50-50. So we run on a 6-day special cycle, and so I have 3 days where I am directly instructing in the library or doing checkouts. I am lucky enough that I do have a counterpart, a retired teacher who comes in and teaches the 2nd and 3rd grade library classes. But then the other half of the time, I do have that flex schedule where I can go out to the classrooms and I can be supporting their learning in the classroom or inviting them into the library or providing opportunities such as this. And I do this over my own lunch hour as well. So during that 2-hour block of time, having the kids come into the library. The first time that we did it, we had 250 kids cycle through in 2 hours, so that was awesome. But you know, how do we promote this? How do we get that message out to that sheer number of students? Well, my good colleague in the back has this fabulous green screen that he aids and abets my every whim of videotaping. But we created a promotional video, so here's just a quick snippet of that one.
Hey guys, where are you going? We're going to the library to have lunch. Why are you going to the library for lunch? Well, haven't you heard about the library lunch book clubs? No, you mean I can go eat lunch with my friends in the library? Well, kinda. You get to eat lunch with your friends and get to listen to the Goldfinch books. You get your lunch, grab up your pass, and go to the library. So you just sit and listen to books and eat your lunch. No, you're not just sitting and listening. You get to talk about which books we like the best. And if you're part of the library lunch book clubs, you get to help vote for which book is going to win the Goldfinch here at Titan Hill. Now last year, we voted on the Teacher Librarian. That sounds like fun, but I don't want to miss my recess. Oh, you won't. It means very much. Oh, can I take the book club every day for lunch? Oh no. You can go to the library either on day 2 or day 6, depending on your teacher. There's posters around the school that will tell you when your class gets to come. That sounds awesome. Let's go.
So what I did with this particular video, not only did I send it out to my staff to show their students, we also put it in through Google Classroom, which I have library classrooms, and then also posting it on our library webpage. So, you know, how has technology helped me promote literacy? Well, sharing the opportunities that we have beyond just handing a piece of paper to kiddos and saying, hey, there's this great opportunity, you know, making it a little bit more interactive. Another example of literacy promotion, obviously, book talks are huge when it comes to our job as librarians. You know, we're constantly trying to share the amazing opportunities that we have available with the books, either print or digital. And so here's another example of a quick book trailer that we put together that we, once again, put out through Google Classroom for our students to be able to view.
The Great Wall, the Alamo, the Panama Canal, the White House. Ever heard of any of these places? Well, from the same creators of the Who Was series comes the Where Is and What Was series. Be sure to check these out at the Titan Hill Library to learn a little bit more.
So once again, you know, using the green screen and putting together the promotional video, because I found that my students were really, really loving the Who Was series, but they weren't hitting the other offshoots that I thought that they might enjoy. So, you know, creating a promotional video that, once again, the value of that book talk, but it's captured through this video that students can go back and view numerous times. Versus if I had just gotten up and told them about it at the library, they can't go back and reference and view. But it's not just me who's promoting, because obviously we've got all sorts of readers all through Titan Hill, and giving them the voice and the opportunity to share what they're reading. So this is utilizing something called telegami, which is something I'll talk about this afternoon, actually. Our third graders, I actually did teach a third grade library class, and they did a huge unit on mysteries. And so because all of the third grade was reading these mysteries, I had my particular class create book promotion videos. And so they had 30 seconds utilizing telegami to share a mystery book that they thought the other third graders might really, really enjoy. So this is one done by one of my third grade students.
Taking breaks from one's normal life for a trip to our station book for a school assignment. People drop out and start chasing it. The thank you is part of a group led by Mr. E, who wants his secret quilt. He's on the run trying to figure out where is the quilt and who's Mr. E before something terrible happens. They just book to figure out how it ends in case you stick at it. Like after that.
Like I said, she had 30 seconds. She had to stop. But, you know, promoting that literacy aspect. And the thing I love about those videos is that kids can go back and watch them over and over and over again. You know, QR codes, or putting them into the Google Classroom, or putting them and featuring them on the web page, or putting them out to their teachers so that they can share them with their parents during parent-teacher conferences. All of those give our students that opportunity to share their literacy life with other people. And that's a huge thing that, you know, technology has allowed us to do. With that increased experiences, two of my favorite opportunities that happened last year. The bigger picture on the left is last year during World Read Aloud Day. Students came into the library, and we actually, for each of the different grade levels, made connections with other libraries or other classrooms all across the nation, and shared books, and allowed the students to interact and talk with each other and share what was going on and try to figure out where the other students were. So I mean, it was an opportunity for our students to expand their understanding, to expand their, I don't know, love of literacy with other people all across the nation. So that was awesome. The one on the right-hand side, we were doing a bunch of mystery Skypes with our students last year. And one of them happened to be a mystery Skype with my husband, who we did a Google Hangout. He's also an educator, he's also here at iTech. He actually happened to be with a group of students in Washington, D.C. And so we did a Google Hangout with him while he was actually at the Capitol building in the Rotunda. And these second graders were absolutely fascinated, and we were doing an activity in the library later on that afternoon, and their teacher came to me over lunchtime and like, oh my gosh, they are all about this. They want to know more about Washington, D.C. and the Capitol. So of course, doing my teacher librarian thing, I real quick found this amazing virtual field trip that was a 360-degree tour of the Capitol building. And once again, we were able to then let the kids experience that and take that virtual field trip to Washington, D.C. to go see the Capitol that they had just had that connection with via Google Hangout, to really truly reinforce what those learning opportunities and their excitement for that opportunity that they had had. So kind of that technology increasing our students' experience, I think, is huge. Access to information. How many of you guys use Symbolos? Symbolos are fantastic. For those of you who don't use them, they are basically a collection of websites. And the thing I love about Symbolos, especially because I work with second through fifth graders, especially for those second graders, it's very visual. And so what you're seeing here is, this is the Titan Hill Symboloo. We have a main Symboloo for our students that we are not one-to-one Chromebook. We're getting closer, but our students do have access throughout their day to Chromebooks, and so this is bookmarked on almost every student computer. It's also available from our school website via the Titan Hill Library page, things like that, so they can have access not only during their school day, but also when they go home to have access to that information. And these are the things that we utilize all the time, especially, again, the Google Classroom. Things like, we are starting with Lexia Core 5 this year, learning.com this year, so there are some access, quick links to the things that they're going to be using all the time, both in their classroom, but then they can also utilize those at home. You know, our AEA provides us with both BookFlix and TruthFlix subscriptions, so, you know, having those access points for our students so that their learning does not have to stop when they leave the school building. So that's huge for our students. Now, obviously with that increase in access to information, that does also then say for us as teacher librarians, we have to kind of help them learn how to navigate all of those different things, but also how to effectively and ethically use that information. You know, asking our good friend Google is great, but, you know, talking about some opportunities for digital citizenship conversations and things, and that's one of the things that's included in this form, but definitely gives us an opportunity to help our students learn to navigate that sheer volume of information that they have access to every single day, 24/7. So, using that information that they then have access to, once again, technology helps with that transformation of things. This is actually the assignment that my students are doing, my 5th graders did it last week, and my 4th graders are actually probably doing it right now as we speak. But the use of technology to allow our students to apply the information that they are learning. This is through Google Classroom. What I did is I actually put together a tutorial video using something called Screencastify that I recorded myself showing my students how to use Destiny, which is our card catalog system, to do a basic search, and pointing out some of the different things that were available just via a basic search for our students, showing them how to navigate. Okay, here's where you find the call number, here's where you see how many copies we have at the library. So kind of created that video for them, and then created an activity where they actually then had to go navigate and apply that information. You know, as teacher librarians, sometimes you question, okay, I've shown them how to use the card catalog, but can they really use it? Can they really go out and find the books that, you know, they really truly want to use? So this was kind of a way to have that small snapshot that gives me that glimpse of whether or not my students are able to utilize our card catalog system to access the information that they really want to know. So, like I said, this is through Google Classroom as well, and so, like I said, as we speak, my 4th graders are starting on this activity. So, but that's another thing that, you know, has been huge as far as technology goes for me, is that no longer do we always have to be right in front of them. That there's an opportunity, even as young as 2nd grade, to be able to flip that learning just a little bit for them so that they can go through the instruction, and then we can be there to support and have those conversations to follow up.
How young do you go with your class?
2nd grade. And I'd probably go younger if I had younger students. But our yeah. And I will pontificate my deep love for Google Classroom. Love, love, love. In fact, come see me tomorrow. I have a whole section on it. That's a shameless self-plug there. Kind of another example of some things are, we obviously were in Google School. Our 3rd graders were studying maps and different kinds of maps. And, you know, it was crazy for them to get out the big foldable maps and try to navigate all of that. And so Josh and I had just done an activity recently with the 3rd graders where we put in, through, once again, Google Classroom, an activity where we asked the students to go to Google Maps and to use some of the different features, and we utilized Snagit to take screenshots of different portions of the Google Map to kind of see our students finding what we're asking them to do. But they were also studying, you know, Council Bluffs history, so we found some of those landmarks, asked them to find those landmarks, asked them to take a picture, take a screenshot, showing that they had actually found what they were looking for, but then also to then route themselves from our school building, from Titan Hill, to this landmark and look at, okay, what's the route? What route would you have to take? How long is it telling us it would take us to get there? You know, those real application, because let's be real, when we go places, we use our smartphones now. You know, so allowing them that opportunity to begin to explore those types of experiences, even though they maybe are not the ones navigating in the car, one would hope. But, you know, I mean, giving them the opportunity to begin practicing some of those life skills, even though they're 3rd graders. Our 5th graders just recently were studying in their science weather, and they were talking about weather trends and patterns. And so we took the opportunity, we invited the 5th graders into the library, and we did an activity where through Google Sheets we had them take information from a chart and then create it into a graph and talk about what's the benefit of a chart, what's the benefit of a graph, and looking for trends and things like that. So they were actually able to apply some of that information that they were actually learning in their classroom and bring it to the library and see that, you know, it's about information. It's about that being able to read and navigate all types of text, all types of experiences. So, like I said, you know, the whole idea of what technology allows us to do for our students is really truly support their learning, to give them opportunities and access and experiences that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise. All right, so any questions before I move on really to the staff side of things?
geek question, what software was used for the green screen? What do you use?
I didn't hear the question.
What software did you use with the green screen?
The doing green screen by doing iPad app.
Okay.
Josh Allen.
Ethical question.
Yes.
How do you handle permissions for things like Telegram? Do you have parents go and sign a blanket acceptable use, or do you get it for each time you're reviewing a new?
We have access paperwork that students fill out overall of whether or not they can have access to information digitally, but then also whether or not they can be published. And so there's two separate parts to that.
So you don't get separate permission from Telegram and stuff like that? It's part of your-
No, well, and the nice thing is that with something like Telegami, there are free versions of it, and so like for us, we had it on our devices at school, our apps, or sorry, our iPads, and so then students were able to take the iPads and then we just saved it to the camera roll, so it was never going and being published elsewhere, but it was all in-house. Most of the stuff that we do is like that, as far as, you know, utilizing the free versions and being able to utilize it at school.
It sounds like you collaborate a lot with the teachers. When is there a time set aside to do that? I mean, I know with the half flex schedule, you're probably a lot more fortunate than most of us, but.
That is the beauty of technology, is that now, you know, that face-to-face, nothing can beat the face-to-face and being able to bounce ideas and sit down and talk to each other. But unfortunately, last year, the way it worked was my library specialist days were their PLC days, so I was not able to necessarily be in those meetings with them. So once again, them sharing their UBDs, their Understanding by Design unit plans with me, so that I could see, okay, here's what they're doing. Them sharing almost everything that we do is via Google Docs, especially because, you know, for some of our grade levels, we have 10 classrooms and some are 9 classrooms. And so, I mean, the sheer amount of people who need access to that information, you know, Google Docs is the best for being able to collaborate. And so being able to share ideas and being able to see, okay, here's what they're studying, and then I can jump in as a co-editor on things and be able to jump in and say, hey, here's some resources I have for you, or have you considered this?
So your curriculum is kind of based around what the teachers are doing more than maybe what you're teaching as far as informational literacy or digital citizenship.
Yeah. It's a blend. It's supporting what they're doing in their classrooms, but then when they come to me in the library, you know, this is my second year as the teacher librarian at Titan Hill, and so it's kind of a work in progress. It's evolving, but as far as my library curriculum, it's attempting to give them the support and the skills that they need to be able to be successful, not only in the classrooms, but also, you know, with basic research skills and things like that, those life skills of how to access that information, how to evaluate that information, and how to utilize those different programs to really transform their learning. So, I know that was kind of the, did I get to the answer to your question?
Sure.
Right. Any other questions? All right, so supporting staff, you're exactly right. You know, that idea of being able to collaborate with my teachers, technology has been that open door. You know, because without something like Google Docs, without being able to share that information and to have my staff be able to share with me, I would not be able to do my job the way that I am right now. I would not be able to support the learning going on in the classrooms. I would not be able to be there and making that impact that I am without the technology, because of that increased ability to communicate and to collaborate and to support each other. And so here's some examples of some things that I have done with my staff to kind of reach out. As I've said numerous times, I think if you're keeping a tally, I might be up to like 20 mentions of Google Classroom at this point. But we do use Google Classroom, and yes, I have library Google Classrooms, but all of my teachers, I shouldn't say all, almost all of my teachers have classrooms set up for their individual classrooms. One of the things that I love that was a change in Google Classroom was that you can now invite another teacher. So all you're seeing across the top there, and if I pulled up my full Google Classroom, that start page, I have to scroll quite a bit because I am a teacher in every single Google Classroom that's at Titan Hill. And the benefit of that is I can get in, I can draft things for my teachers. I can put in links, I can put in videos. It cuts out that little step for my staff that's kind of a big deal. Where if they're saying, hey, I want to do something on Constitution Day, what resources do you have? I can draft an assignment, I can put in the links, I can do all of that. Instead of sending it to them and saying, okay, here's the stuff I found for you, kind of pick and choose.